is of this product. It's going to do what you asked it to do, but it might not be right. But it's not Copilot's fault. It's because you have 4 different price lists in there. So you have to archive all that old stuff. And everybody that pays per gigabyte for backup and different things like that saves some money, at the end of the month. So make sure your data's clean to begin with, so that when it pulls information, it's going to pull the right information. So it's going to do what it tells you to do, but just make sure you have clean data. And how can you use it? Next daily tasks, efficient, writing reports, brainstorming, organizing emails, a bunch of stuff like that we're going to show you. I want to touch on this just a little bit because this has become a hot topic right now. The AI use policy. I get emails daily about AI use policies. Everybody must be sent a template. Okay, so we send the template out there. We send that template out there, and they can take a look at it. But then I always schedule a call with them because we have to have a call. Okay, because what it is, it's great that you have that in place, but if you don't have at least these 3 things on here, your AI policy is just a piece of paper. It's going to be in your files, okay? So we can go down through everything and talk about an AI use policy, but you have to define your approved platform. So what that's going to do is you're going to have a list, okay? You have all of them on there. I mean, I have a great job. All I do is do AI all day, so I have paid versions of every platform that's out there, just so I know how to use them. So if anyone has any questions, I know what the answers are, or try to know what the answers are. But that's the idea. You have to define what platforms are approved. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, and then you have to also say who's going to be able to use those platforms. Okay, so we might have, in our organization, because we have a bunch of different people going on there, Claude's approved, Copilot's approved, ChatGPT's approved, but then other things like maybe OpenClaw might only be approved for me and some of the technical teams, because once you start integrating that into there, that will take actions, okay? That will do things for you. So that's what you gotta you gotta look at, or you gotta keep in mind that some of these platforms will do things, okay? A lot of them, you ask a question, you get an output. Other ones, you put something in the prompt box, and before you know it, it's gonna start doing things. That's why when we talked about co-work and things over here, be careful with that, okay? Because I always do that, like when we're talking about downloading Claude, free version of Claude, then we get into co-work, stuff like that. Co-work will move your files. I'll show you a little bit of that here later on. But it can do things, like it'll take over email. Like if you get down through there and you say, hey, go through my emails, this and that, get rid of any junk or anything like that I don't want. Before you know it, it's deleting stuff. It's gonna get rid of it. It's gonna move your files, it's gonna delete files, it's gonna take care of stuff, and it's gonna be gone. Okay, you can get it back, it's kind of hard to get it back, but just be careful what you're doing on there. 2, if you don't want people using free versions, that's the other version, we'll talk about that in the security section too. The free versions of these platforms are being used to train. So like everyone, when we talk about ChatGPT, everybody loves ChatGPT, it's by far the most famous one, although Claude's kind of taken over now, but ChatGPT forever was the most famous, okay? Free version is great. No employee, well, say 99% of employees aren't trying to do anything bad in your business when they're using this. They're just trying to be more productive, okay? So they're using the free version of ChatGPT, uploading all that stuff in there. All your company materials are going into the free version of ChatGPT, and then all that stuff's going out, and it's being used to train other models. Okay, so that they're using your information to train because on the free version. Everybody doesn't understand ChatGPT, those big capital letters, GPT at the end of it, stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformers. And all that means is, by you putting that in there, we're gonna use your data to train other models. Okay, so we gotta be careful with that. That's why we provide a paid version. The paid versions have a lot more security in them. So you're not gonna be able to train other models and stuff like that. So we have to provide a paid version. And then the third thing on there is you have to be able to monitor it. So you could have this whole policy set up. We approved these platforms here. We gave everybody a paid version. Cool. We cut everybody loose. How do we know they're not using these other versions? How do we know GenSpark's not being used over here on this side, and ChatGPT is not being used over here if we don't have it in there? You have to have a way to monitor these platforms. So you can come back to that, your AI use policy, if you start seeing, hey, we approved this platform, this platform, this platform. We go back through, we pull the monitor up, and here all of a sudden, there's 8 different models being used in the organization, okay? So that gives you something to fall back on. And honestly, I think right now with these AI use policies, we do a ton of cybersecurity insurance evaluations. It's not in there yet, but I can guarantee it's gonna be in there next year. You're gonna have an AI use policy in there. And they're gonna wanna see, are these things included in there? You know, what do we approve, what are we using, and how are we seeing what everybody's using? So those are all gonna be in there. So if you don't have these yet, I would say start thinking about it. Anybody in leadership, anybody who owns businesses here, I would start thinking about this and get this ready because it is gonna come. Because you know how insurance companies are, there's no insurance people in here. Like, they're gonna try to find any way possible not to give you that money. Okay, so if you don't have this and something happened because someone was using the free version of ChatGPT, it would be like, well, let me see your AI use policy. You know, oh, okay, you're not monitoring and it's not approved, but someone was using it. Okay, yeah, we're not getting any money from that because you didn't follow the guidelines. So that's just a little foreshadowing, I think, that we're gonna get into. So I would take that, if you need help with that, you can contact me, we can get in, you know, we can talk about that more. But I always like to put that in there just because it's coming and I think everybody should have it. So moving on from that, so we just talked about that. I'm gonna specialize in Copilot today. Like I said, Claude has everything in there, you know, ChatGPT can institute everything in there, it can pull files for you. The Copilot, because it's a Microsoft product, once you buy it, the paid version, you're gonna have everything. So if you look over here, as soon as you get a license, you have Copilot, you have Copilot Chat. But it's not gonna work in Word, it's not gonna work in Excel, it's not gonna work in Teams, none of that. You have the free version, you can ask questions, you can create pictures, you can do all that with the free version. Now, when you pay for the paid version that's on there, right now it's about $22, you know, so it's right there with the rest of the platforms. And then a note to mention, here comes July 1st, for everybody that doesn't know that, Microsoft's gonna raise the pricing of all your license. So that's coming too, so coming July 1st. So that's not, remember your MSP's not doing that to you, that's Microsoft doing that to you. Okay, except for Business Premium. Business Premium is gonna stay right where it's at because Business Premium has extra security features. They're trying to get every business on Business Premium. So what they're doing right now is they're running these bundles. Okay, so you can get in there and you can lock your pricing in right now with Business Premium plus Copilot for a certain price. Okay, so like if you get in there, if you have 10 people, 10 or more people, $32 will get you a Business Premium license and Copilot, the paid version. So you get in the door, you can lock that in for a year. You don't have to worry about that price increase. So that's a pretty good selling point for that. You get in there, and like I said, you get it integrated into all your features, okay? That's why we went with Copilot. So, again, security. Security is always, top of everybody's list because we do have all the information, all the data that we're using. So, again, we talked a little bit about it. Copilot respects your existing 365 permissions and data boundaries. So, for people that don't know about that, what that is so if the finance company, leadership has a finance folder that's in there, okay? The IT team is gonna set permissions, and all that means is every employee is not gonna have access to that folder. So you can't get in there and say, hey, show me the 2025 financials for the business last year. It's not gonna allow you to do that. Copilot respects those same permissions, so you're not gonna be able to see all that data. So that's gonna be in there. The other thing I do say is you have to watch when you use these models. If leadership is talking back and forth and they take a document, say your financials, and they send it, hey, through Teams, does this look right to you? Do these financials look right to you? Keep in mind, that does take a copy of that document and store it into OneDrive, okay? So that is now out of your folder, and that's just a copy, and that's in permissions now. Okay, so that's out of it. So somebody would search, they're gonna be able to find that now, just that copy that they made over there. So we keep an eye on that kind of stuff. Best practices, kind of just like we always talk about, think before you type. If you wouldn't share data with a coworker, don't share with Copilot, basic stuff. Double check the output for private or sensitive details. Mindful of phishing risk. That's a big one because now all of these are basically tied in with your emails. So if you get a phishing email in there and you're summarizing emails, it might be in there. So keep an eye on stuff too as you're doing that. It's not gonna pick up on that, but keep an eye on that because that might be something you need to pass off to your IT team. Okay. Administrative controls. Enable or disable Copilot for certain users. Audit interactions to ensure compliance. Set security policies to align with company guidelines. All that means is because everything has apps now, we have phone apps. Copilot has its own phone app, which if you haven't used it, it's great because again, it's tied to all your data. You can put it up there if you travel a lot like I do. I'm always on the road. And I can hit that up there. I can get back in there. I can hit that, and you don't just have to talk and then read, it's gonna talk back to you. Okay, so what I put in there, hey, I'm going to this meeting, give me all the information you know about this client that I'm going to see, plus any interactions I've had from Teams, email about that. It'll say sure, and all of a sudden it'll start spitting out there, it prints a copy out for you, and it'll give you all the information back. It'll start telling you all about that. So that's what's kind of cool about that. Also, if anybody leaves, if they have a license, and anybody leaves, and it's tied to your company data, IT team will come in, shut you off right away. They won't have access to your Copilot. That's not gonna be in there, okay? So that's kind of good, you know, just security-wise for everybody. Control monitor, same stuff, sensitive data leaks, password exposure, custom PAI. A lot of this stuff is linked now, like I do know there's certain ones, like we use a product called DefenseX. And what that does is if something would come in, say you would get a PDF and it has a bunch of financial information, everybody's health information, stuff like that, you try to upload that and ask questions about that document in there. What it's gonna do, one, it's gonna flag it, it's gonna put a red flag up there and tell you it has PII in it and you can't use it. And then down below, it's not gonna stop your prompt. I mean, you could put the prompt in there with all that information in there. What it's gonna do is gonna X out like social security numbers, it's gonna X all that stuff out. So that's what I was going back to about the monitoring on the AI use policy. Have something on there that can monitor that and also block any type of PII or any information that you don't want shared with the model. So that's kind of the security. Once I pull up my dashboard, you'll see Microsoft has a little green shield up in the right-hand corner. As long as that green shield is on and good to go, you're good, okay? But coming from a cybersecurity background, I'm gonna tell you you're 99.9% safe. I will never, ever tell you you're 100% safe. It's not gonna happen. So, security-wise, the rest of the models have come up, security-wise, they're very good, but Microsoft, seems to be the best now with your data because it's all up in your tenant right now. So, again, I'm not pushing either any platform on you. Whatever you find to be the best, the easiest for you to use, go ahead. But again, personally, I use a ton of platforms outside of work, but inside work, you can't beat Copilot just because it's tied to all your Microsoft documents. Apps and agents, we'll talk about those as we get out to the dashboard too. Apps, they have a separate section on there now too, that right inside your dashboard now, you won't have to go out, you won't have to leave your dashboard, your interface anymore. Like if you use Word, a lot, Excel, PowerPoint, any of those, you can just download those apps, and they're right on the left side. They're gonna be right on your sidebar right there. So you can go right into those and you can roll right through that. Agents, I kind of, I think they jumped the gun by calling them agents. I call them GPTs. They're trained agents. They're agents, but they're not really doing anything autonomously for you right now. So what you do is when we build an agent, we'll build an agent, and you have to give it a knowledge source. You give it a knowledge source, ask it a question, it'll give you an answer based on only that knowledge source. So that's what's great about those agents. If you have, like they were saying over there, tedious tasks, stupid things you do every day, create an agent for it. Okay, and it's gonna lock that down. You can go through that and do different things, give it knowledge sources, turn off the internet so it won't go outside and search anything from it. Because sometimes if you build an agent and you leave the internet section on, you can have all your information in there and it's great and it gives you an answer, but then all of a sudden it's giving you an answer for like a business that's in California too. And you don't want that. So we can shut that off and it'll just stick your stuff on there. And then Copilot, it changes every day. Like I'm here to tell you, last night I was on it and I was playing with it and I turned it on this morning. I'm glad I turned it on this morning because my interface is totally different now. It updated last night, so it's totally different. So, but you will get researcher and you will get analyst. So back when all the models were only based with OpenAI, Copilot was only based with OpenAI, and now they've also paired with Anthropic, which is a great thing because there's a lot more features in there. You get a researcher on there, and what that was, if you use deep research on ChatGPT, it's now in Copilot. And same thing with analyst. I'm not an Excel guy. I don't use a ton of Excel sheets, but analyst is your go-to on there. If you use a ton of that, you get into that agent right there. You can tweak it however you need it. But I can show you some agents here that I've created for some local businesses we've done too. We can show you a little bit of that. But those are nice little features that keep you all inside the interface. You don't have to go out of the interface. And again, like we said, if you have Copilot, it's integrated. Once you get the paid version, Copilot is going to be in your PowerPoint, like this whole PowerPoint right here. I just created it with with PowerPoint and Copilot. I told her what I wanted, go back in through, you can edit it however you want, you can edit manually, or you can just tell it how you want it to be edited. So that's your PowerPoint. Teams is huge. One of the ones we're gonna stick to today, we're gonna mainly stick to Teams and Outlook. It's inside your Teams. It can do all kinds of crazy things inside Teams, you know, transcriptions, summaries, you know, you can do all kinds of things in Word. Word, if you need to come up with ideas, or now actually because they actually paired with Anthropic now. Before, when you pulled Word up and you had Copilot on the side, you ask it a question, it would come over here and put it in the chat, then you had to copy and paste and come over here and put it in there. Well now, because Anthropic's in there, and Anthropic is just Claude, so what that means now, co-work is actually in Copilot as well. So what it'll do, it'll take action for you. So like if you put something on the side over there, you pull up the whole Word document, type it on the side over there, hey, summarize this, give me more details on this, and then you can watch your actual Word document, and it'll go to work on your document for you. You don't have to copy and paste that anymore. It'll pull whatever for you. It'll do all the work for you. So that's a good deal with Word. Excel, again, I don't use it a lot, but I've noticed when I go visit people, they don't want to see like boring columns and rows. Okay, so what I do with my Excel, I pull my Excel out, and you get out through there, because I was never very good at the whole cell language, like typing all that stuff in there and telling what you want to do. I'm never good at that. So now I don't have to do that anymore. I can say, hey, look at this entire set of data on here, create a pie chart for this data, and put that in cell A13. Start it there. And it'll start looking all of a sudden, you look down there beside your chart, boom, there's a pie chart, start in A13 with all your data in there. So you can do that now. So you don't even have to do all the cell writing anymore. You can just help to do that. Outlook's gonna be another huge one on there, because we're gonna do calendar, we're gonna do emails, and you'll see a ton of different things that we can do in there. But yeah, it'll draft your emails, it'll send your emails. It'll actually now, again, because it has co-work in there, you'll be able to take all your stuff when you get on the calendar, say if you wanna have a meeting, something like that, you can get down through there, ask if there's an opening, say you're trying to have a meeting with 5 different people. You just have to pull the calendars up, everybody's calendar up, okay, here's Monday, there's my times, his times. You don't have to do that anymore. You can go on there and say, I need a half an hour next week for these people, find me that time. And it's gonna go through and find time on everybody's calendar for that half an hour. Now what it won't do, it's gonna find that spot, but it's gonna respect your permissions too. So like for me, like trying to get on like our CTO's calendar, like he's busy from 7 in the morning till 7 at night, you know, 7 days a week. So like if I need to have half an hour meeting with him, like it's crazy. So that's what I like using that for. But at the same point in time, it's only gonna find his half an hour that he's available. It's not gonna tell you what he's doing all those other times, because that's permissions. I don't have access to all that stuff, all his information. So I won't be able to see that, but I will be able to see the blocks of times that he is available. So that's where we're gonna go with that. So I think we're just about there. So yes, so I'm gonna pull up my dashboard, and we're gonna go through Microsoft Teams. We're gonna do a couple things in there. We're gonna go through Outlook email, and we're gonna go through Outlook calendar. And we're gonna do a bunch of different little things there. We're gonna put some prompts in. And again, when we do this, like you can do certain things, like if you are a Claude user, you know, things like that, you'll be able to copy and paste and do certain things like that in there. But again, when you're in Copilot, it's gonna pull all of your information for you. So, that being said, let me exit out of here. We're gonna get into Teams. So that's, actually, well, let's just start with the dashboard. We'll start with the dashboard, just give you a little look here. As you can see, the good thing about Copilot is they didn't try to reinvent the wheel. So if you've used Claude, you use ChatGPT, use that, it's all pretty much gonna look the same, okay? As I said, the features have changed a little bit. Chat, search, library, agents. Now, if you're gonna go to your apps, we can look this up here. It's just like everything else. Create, I don't know if we have any marketing crews down the hall, but Create is excellent. If you need to do anything in there, I'll bring that up a little bit. Any client-facing material or anything like that, you can do your images. We can add content. You can pick a style. If you brand, like if you want to do anything, if you have a brand, I have our branding in here. You can see that, it'll stick to those colors. My favorite one is the infograph. So if you have different things that you're doing, that you like I said, people seem to be more visual than they are written. So they like to see pictures, they like to see images, they like to see stuff like that. So if you have a document, or if you have like, you know, you're just doing stuff at work, you need safety, you need something like that, you can take that whole Word document, put it in there, and just say, create an infographic of all this stuff, okay? And then you can go back to brand. If you have your brand color, you have all that stuff set up, it's gonna spit it out for you. It's gonna present it like one of these. Then you can go back in and tweak it, whatever you do. You can set all that stuff up on the side over here, so if you look, and there's tons more. I mean, you can create posters, you can go the whole way down through. Here's your brands. This is how you set everything up, brand kits, do different things like that. But that's, if you're a marketer, you'll live in this section here. Search is just gonna take me through any of my chats. Library, that's just everything I've talked about. Agents, as you can see, I have a lot of them listed here. These are just ones that I've built for different companies, different things. So we have basic agents. If you wanna try agents, you can come down through here. There's agents that are already built. You can go back in and you can change those and customize those to whatever you need. But that'll give you a start and things. So if you put those in there, you can go up and search. If you search through there, if you wanna have something, anything, so if you were, I don't know if there's gonna be anything in there or not, but so if you're in a law office, there's, law toolbox. Click on that, that'll give you a start. Then you can pull that up, move over to the side, go through the instructions, descriptions, anything you need to change, and customize it to you. Then you can pop it over there, and you can go. A couple of the ones that I have on there, just that I've made, you'll see through these on here. See, there's the co-work. That's what I was talking about there. It's in a frontier mode, so not everybody has access to it. You have to be a frontier partner, but as you can see on there, just like Claude Co-work, it can take action now. So this is one too that I would tell you that this is not something that you roll out to everybody, okay? I know that's what, it almost made me cringe a little bit when I was over there and I saw like, this weekend, everybody sign up for Claude, everybody get on Co-work, everybody start doing that, take caution with that, please, because Co-work, like I said, will take action. It's autonomous, so it's gonna do things for you. So it's gonna lock onto your documents, it's gonna lock onto your files, and it's gonna move stuff, delete stuff, put it all over the place. So just be careful when you use that, okay? So we have those, move down through, there's the researcher and the analyst that we always have, and a couple just ones. Workflows are great. This is how you start automating things. So when we start doing different things, we get in here, should have a couple of mine pop up there, hopefully the Wi-Fi is good. But I don't really answer emails anymore. My emails come in and this takes charge of it. It just does its thing. I'm not trying to be cool or anything, but it is pretty cool when that stuff comes in and sends different things out. So mine on here, you should be able to, let me see if it'll show you. Yeah. What it's gonna bring up is gonna show you what the triggers are. So that's when we start talking about, when everyone's talking about automating things and doing different things, you have to know the flow of your business or what you're doing, okay? So when you try to do this, you have to sit back and think, so on here, so what happens here? So here's my first step. Weekday morning, at 7:30 every morning, boom, it triggers. So then we go through, review, unreplied emails. That's the next step in it. So it's gonna trigger at 7:30 in the morning, then it wants to start going through all my emails, okay? Any unreplied emails that I have, it's gonna list them out, it's gonna take them, and then what it's gonna do, it's gonna send an email summary to my teams to let me know that boom, there it is. Those are the ones you haven't replied to, there. And then after that, it's gonna send me an email over to my email with a list of all those that I didn't reply to, plus a description. And you can build that out as big as you want. But what I always tell people is start small, okay? You gotta start small with little things, okay? So just for instance, we were doing one for a call center, okay? We were building a workflow for a call center. They wanted to be able to transcribe and summarize all these calls that were coming in. So that's kind of the information. We just wanted to summarize all that, we want it to happen automatically, okay? Well, you need to think back now. That call comes in, one person answers the phone, or it goes to voicemail, okay? Trigger here, okay? So then what happens after that? What usually happens after somebody answers the phone? Oh, we go through this line and we tell them all this information. Okay, well that's down here. So what happens after the voicemail? Right after the voicemail, then it comes down to here. Okay, so now you're building that tree just like you did down through here. You gotta go through every single one of those steps to make sure that works. But that's why I would say start small. Then it starts, everyone's like, well, I wanna automate my whole day in the morning. Okay, well, that's this big, you know what I mean? Just start with, hey, how about you just read my emails and send me a Teams and send me, an email of what we can do on there. But that's where we're going with this. This is this is where we're at right now with the main work that we're doing right now. A lot of companies now, this is what we're trying to get into. And I go to probably 3 or 4 of these a month, different seminars. And believe me, I feel like I just want to like raise my hand again when all these people are talking, and they're just out there. And I know they're trying to sell you tools. They're trying to sell you AI tools, stuff like that. Trust me, they're out there like, if you're not doing this, if you haven't fully automated your back end, then you're falling behind. Trust me, you are not falling behind. Like 99% of the people are not fully automated in the back end right now. So take your time, don't waste a bunch of money on tools, because that's another thing with me. We'll go into certain businesses, Power Automate's another great tool everybody forgot about. You know what I mean? Like we'll go in there, I'm the AI guy, and like we'll go in there and we'll start talking about other stuff, and like I gotta break it to them, like, you really need AI for that. Like, you know, we can automate that. Like, you know what I mean? So don't rush to buy tools. I know that's the big thing right now. It's good.
You showed Studio. Are they including that, or is that still a separate?
Copilot Studio? No, you can get into that, but again, that's a permission thing. Like, yeah, so like, I don't know, like.
I thought they used to have a separate license for the
Well,
Studio for the building.
Well, now it's included in certain ones, like we're in like an enterprise license, so like I have it, so it depends on your licensing, where you're at for Studio. And Studio is another one, that's why I always tell people to be careful with that one too, because Studio is great. It'll create the agents, but it's gonna do work too. Like it's gonna like trigger things, and it's gonna pull things, it's gonna delete things, it's gonna move things for you too. But that's where like, once you fully wanna start automating, that's where you're gonna go, is in there. So, anybody else? Did you have one?
Yeah, I have a question. So you said it answers all your emails for
Yes.
you. Do you mean by that, you get a summary, it drafts
Yes.
things, and then you review it?
I do,
and
yes.
add to it and make sure that it says what you wanted to say. before
Absolutely,
you said it.
absolutely. See, I still believe and they call it the human in the loop.
Yeah.
I believe in the human in the loop. Now, I can totally set that, like, I mean, I can add 2 more steps in there to like, reply to this in this manner and me and stuff like that, but still scares me a little bit. Like, I don't need to be sending that email out without me reading it. Like, it totally has the power to do it, but that's why I say about like cowork. Like, be careful how you get in there, because people will be like, oh, I don't want to answer everybody's emails, I don't want to send anymore, so I'm just gonna set it up, send them out. And before you know it, like, you send it out, you agree to do 10 different things, and like, it's like, oh man, I didn't know I had to do that. Like, you know what I mean? So, just be careful what you do. So, yes, that's how that one works.
Hey, Bill.
Yes.
So, that was a lot of information. Very good
I know,
information.
I'm trying.
So are you built this as a workflow
Yes.
in Copilot?
Yes.
So if I had paid Copilot, I would create a new workflow. I want this.
You would not,
This looks like
you would not have access to that yet.
if I had.
Yes,
I did.
if you had access to that, yes, so
Manually.
that's where your MSP is gonna come in, your provider, and be like, okay, like, we need to know, like, who's grown up enough to handle this. You know what I mean? Because this doesn't.
Okay, so
This has a lot of
I
power.
can have somebody build me this?
Well, you can have somebody build you that, but I mean, you could do that. It's only they can turn these on like co-work. It's just like your licensing. So like, I could roll out like Copilot license to everybody in this room. Okay, but then I can come back and like I said, co-work that they have on here right now is a very powerful tool. So like, I'm only gonna give access to these 4 people. So like, when I come back in, only they can have co-work. You know what I mean? So like, you can turn it on, turn it off for whoever you want. So like, if you wanted access to it, they can turn it on to you. They can turn it on for you, but just know that it's a very powerful tool on theirs. But we can do that. But you can do basic things like,
workflows,
we're gonna do
yes.
that here.
So-
Yep, when I pull up my email, I'm gonna show you on my calendar that we're gonna do some very basic things, because you don't need, this is, I just wanna show this to you because like, this is where everybody wants to go, but you don't have to go that deep, because now, like I said, that Microsoft paired with Anthropic, like some of this work can be done inside Teams, inside Outlook, without doing it just by prompting things. Okay, so let's get back over there. We'll do some of that too. So we'll pull through there. So that's the dashboard, and again, Work IQ, that's on there. And for all my lovers of ChatGPT and Claude, I just want to show you up here, because that was like my biggest thing when I first started this. And I was Copilot, like, well, I love ChatGPT and I'm not changing. I was like, okay, cool. I love Claude and I'm not changing. Well, here, if you look on here now, here's Opus. So like now it's pulling from Opus. If you just like Claude inside Copilot, you just hit that button. Okay. If you go to ChatGPT, here's all the models that is running from OpenAI on there. Yes, sir.
So this kind of goes back to the licensing question.
Yes.
So we purchase the Copilot add-on,
Yes.
I enable it for my account,
Yes.
I build a whole bunch of agents
Yes.
and workflows.
Yes.
Organization changes and they say, we can't afford it for you, we want it assigned to him. Do all my agents, are they tied to that license, or are they tied to my account? What happens?
They are tied to that, license. You can share your agents, you can share workflows inside your tenant. So like you can share it with everybody in your building that has a paid license. So if you build a cool agent, you want everybody to use it, everybody doesn't have to copy and paste those instructions and build it themselves. You can share it with them. Now you can only share it inside your business, you can't share it with somebody outside your business. But if it's built in because you're the owner of that. But I would recommend, like, if you build something cool like that, and like say you're gonna get shut off inside the agent section, I can bring that up if we have time here later on. And have you built them before?
I built them before.
Okay, yeah.
That's what.
Yeah, inside the instructions section there, I'd copy and paste that, pull it over, you know what I mean? That way you have at least, you know, the rough outline of what you wanna do, and then you'd have to go back in that other person and upload their knowledge sources and stuff like that. But yeah, because you're the owner of it, as of right now, who knows, tomorrow that might change.
Is it best practice then to build a service account for the tenant?
You could.
Build your company-wide
Yes,
agents
yes, you
there.
can do that, yeah, so like when I build flows for anybody else, like we started doing that now too, like, so what we'll do is, they'll buy a license for me, and it's just not me, like we'll build a license for whatever company, you know, put that name, company on there, boom, that's a license, that way I can work on it, I don't have to sit there inside their place, but I'm working inside their tenant with that license, but it's still theirs. You know what I mean? And that way we can control it back and forth, and then if I leave or I'm done, whatever, like, that sits there. You know what I mean? So that's a very good point, that you should, you know, set it up, you know, with, instead of just one personal person. Like right now, all the agents that we use inside the building, like at our place, are all tied to me. So like, that's job security for me, like, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, you would just set that up separate. And that's probably the best way to do it moving forward. If you really thought you were gonna build a lot, do things like that, just buy a license and build them through that, so. But yeah, so that's where we're at on that. So I will try to, let me see here, bring this up. And I'm going to use this demo right here. This was for our conversation for me to do this today. So if you look here, Teams. Everybody use Teams, or have used Teams, play around with Teams and things like that? This is Teams. So basically, all we did was transcribe and record a meeting, okay? Here's the transcription, here's all of our stuff up here. If you look right up here, here's my little Copilot button up here. So now when I click on that, because everything's tied to there, it's gonna pop up, hopefully, there we go, on there. So what it's gonna do, it's gonna pull away from our transcription over there. As you can see, I've already run some of these on here. There we go. There it is. Put that over there. Ooh, Wi-Fi's killing me. Back out of that one. Try it again. I asked them for the secret Wi-Fi when I came in, they wouldn't give me access, they only gave me the free Wi-Fi. And I was trying to tell them, I was like, you know, I'm a cybersecurity guy, like, I can't be telling people that I'm using the free Wi-Fi at the hotel. You know what I mean, so that's where we're at on that. But, so now, you're not gonna be able to see that on there, because it pulled out of there. But, there it is, there's a little better on there. So all we did was we took the video, which you don't have to record everything, but here's a transcription of our whole meeting on there. So now what I would go through, like I have them on here, if you have a separate monitor, you'd be able to roll through there. All I wanna know, this whole thing, we did this whole meeting, it was 40 minutes long. I can come back in here. And 5 bullet points. And then we're gonna wait and see. So it's gonna go through that whole meeting that we had on there, hopefully speedy. We'll see how long we spend on the Wi-Fi. Should go talk to Comcast guys, see what they have. Yeah.
While you're waiting, a question.
Yes, how about?
Is there any way to capture these proceedings through the microphone on my machine?
Well, so here's what we do. So like when I have outside meetings, what I will do is even if I'm doing an in-person meeting, I will send out a Teams invite. So what I will do is I'll send out that Teams invite. Even if I'm meeting in person, I take my laptop with me, I move over there, and I start the Teams meeting. And it records everything off my laptop. Okay, and what it does too is it's gonna know because I invited you to the meeting and I'm in the meeting, it's gonna be able to tag. So whenever you talk, it's gonna have your name on there. Whenever I talk, it's gonna have my name on there. And it does not look like this is gonna like.
But for a presentation like this,
Yes.
you know, there's no way to do a Teams meeting.
Well, I could do a Teams meeting and like it would know me. It would say Bill was talking and it would label me, but it would just, everybody else would just come up
Oh, okay.
as just a line on there. So I could totally put that on there. If I turned Teams on and went with this, I could go through it and like it would record all that stuff. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if this is gonna help me out here or not. Here, let me just try. We'll just come out again. Go right back into it. And we shall see. Here we are. Pull our Copilot up again. Let's see if that happens this time. Lining things up again.
Scroll up a little bit to see if it's above there.
What's that? Well, it did, I mean, I could actually show you something, like, here is, I like to see the action. I want you to see the action, but I can't.
Mine showed up above where.
Here's some of these, so I put some of these, so like, here, we'll just have to fake it till we make it now. I want to show it to you in action, you know what I mean, doing stuff, because like I said, when I go to all these seminars, everyone just goes through slide decks and nobody shows you any action. I was like, everybody gets bored, and I want you to get bored, so I'm gonna show you some action. So, here it is, I put that prompt in, give me a detailed summary of this meeting, along with bullet points, and any follow-up items that are needed to provide that. So then here, as it comes down through, it gives me my meeting summary. Here's all my bullet points, key topics to cover. We get out through and it did everything that I asked it to do on there. So now if you needed to, you can copy and paste this, you can go back in through. And the good thing about all this stuff is you will see, hopefully it shows me on there, oh, it won't show me because I already put it on there. But when this just comes through, when you just use this, it's always gonna give you 3 different things down here. It's gonna give you 3 options, like if you want to. After it gave you that summary, it's gonna say, hey, would you like to send an email? Would you like to compose an email? Oh, there we go. Is it popping up now? There we go. Oh, no, we're experiencing high demand. There it is. Now we're done. Well, at least we have it started up here, so. Again, it's gonna go down through. But again, what it's gonna do is it's gonna give you 3 other options down there. So if you wanna create an email, you create an email, you can send an email out, and it'll send that email for you now because like I said, it's paired with Anthropic. So you can go back through, after I do this and I tell it, like, create an email, reply for me, it's gonna set that email up and it's gonna come down through and it's gonna give you a draft of that email. It's gonna show you like who it's going to, it's gonna give you the topic, it's gonna give you everything on there, and then down below it, it's gonna ask you, do you want me to send this email? You click send, and boom, it's gone. The email's gonna be gone, you can get back over, and I always check, I still check, go over to my box, look at my sent email, and it did send. So that's a good thing about that, is now, before, you used to be able to write the email there. But now, like I said, because like the co-work, Anthropic is part of that now, it will actually do the work for you, so it's gonna send that email out for you after it asks you first. But you will see on there, it's gonna give you actions. I'll try to find it down here at the bottom of mine, it's not gonna be on here. But it's gonna tell you allow actions or don't allow actions. Like if you put that bar down, if you allow actions, it'll allow you to send emails, delete emails, everything from the prompt. If you do not allow the actions, it's just gonna hang out in the sidebar over here. So it's just gonna be on the sidebar over here, you're not gonna be able to send anything out. So once you feel comfortable, you can go up and click allow actions and you'll be good to go from there. So a couple of the other ones I won't take too long on here since it's not working too great. Turn this discussion into a short status update. All it did is it pulled everything from this transcription, pulled everything through here, and there's our status update. Fastest path to close the items. Here we go. All the items we talked about, give me the fastest path to close all these items. It went through everything for me, did all that stuff. Also what it does, it's gonna give you the sources. Our source right now is just from that video and the transcription, but if it was pulling from everything, so if I said, tell me everything about the CBICC AI Summit through email, Teams, anything that I've ever talked about, all these sources over here would be different. You would see that right now, it's just pulling from this video. But if I pulled from Teams, if I pulled from Outlook, pulled from anything, you would have those knowledge sources over there, and you'd be able to click into that. Like if it was an email, it would click into that and it would take you right to that email. So that's a pretty good feature there too. So that's that. I won't spend too much time on that. I hope the email stuff works a little better for you, but we shall see. We're gonna go over here to email and calendar now, because that's kind of where you can get a lot of your bang for your buck right now. So we're in emails. I'm gonna go up here. I'm gonna search for this one because it's just a little one and hopefully it won't take too long. I'm gonna pull this email up right now. So this is an email right here. So I don't know how you guys are, but sometimes with us, like, especially if there's a breach somewhere or a cyber attack, before you know it, like, there's 12 people on the email and the email thread is 108 different emails put together, okay? So it's just like along forever. And sometime before all this came out, you had to go line for line, who said this, who said that. You don't have to do that anymore. Like it'll do that for you. So again, here's my email, there's my Copilot button. I pull that guy up on there. It's gonna give you the same dashboard that you have when you have your chat. And how you know that it's working with this email, if you look right here, it's gonna tag it. So it's only gonna pull information from up there. So this one isn't very long, so hopefully it does work with me. So I just wanna summarize this email thread, and hopefully it'll work for me. Usually if you see the little arrow over there, then it's good to go.
Are you launching this out of your?
This is out of my Outlook. Yeah, so you can do the exact same thing. Like if you want to, you can go back to your interface. And I'm an interface guy, but I do this because a lot of people use their apps. They prefer to use their apps, like they use Word, they use all those other ones over there. They like to use those. I use it in my interface, but this one is strictly out of my email right here. So I just pulled that email up here. This is my email section over here, and this is rolling right off of there. So that's how when you get the paid version, you'll be able to see that the Copilot sign is up here. Like you won't have that in your free version, so it's not going to be able to take any action in your stuff.
Are there tutorials or things like to help you know how to, like, we're watching you do
Yes.
this, but is there something that for people just starting out using Copilot that helps you know how do you?
Yes. So I can send out a bunch of stuff to everybody for each one, because what we do, like when we do these, we usually have like, once we get our license in, I can't believe that like doesn't work. It's horrible. But what we do, like when I just did some training for another company. And we literally, because there's so many features in here, like we'll get in there, like we'll set up a time, we do bi-weekly training. So we get a license, we pull the stuff up. Man, look at that. I don't know what's going on here. But, so we set up trainings and we'll spend 1 hour on the training where it was nothing but Teams. All we did was Teams. Then the next time we meet, it was nothing but email. Then the next time we meet, it was nothing but calendar. And then it was just Word, then it was just Excel, and then at the very end, like we build an agent. So we go through that type of stuff, so. Just,
The other thing you do, in the past, you go watch a lot of YouTube videos, but because, like you're saying, the airspaces are changing so quickly, you watch a video from 3 months ago, it's probably changed.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, because I just.
But a lot of times now, just ask the tool how
Yeah,
you actually
yeah,
created it.
yeah, so like, that's kinda like,
Go to the chat and ask it.
that's kinda like see your thing, and like, I don't try to do that, because like, it's gonna take my job away. Like, but I always said,
That's why I said.
honestly, that's why I tell people that, like, I'm always like, they're like, well, I was kinda stuck there, you know, I was doing this in Copilot, like, how do you think I should do that? And I was like, I don't know, ask Copilot. I was like, you know what I mean, so then, that's kind of what it's good for, you know what I mean, like, if you do have questions, stuff like that, like,
Well, especially if you're trying to create an agent, you just
Yes.
say, I wanna create an agent that does this, help me
Yes.
create the prompts to create the agent.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
Actually use the chat.
absolutely,
Create the
absolutely,
agent.
you are absolutely correct, yeah. Yeah, so it's a great tool, and you can bounce back and forth, you know what I mean, like, I use, like, when I create my agents, like, I'll have, you know, Copilot over here, you know, we're building the agent over here, but I'll have Claude over here, and I'm asking Claude all my questions over here, and then I shoot it over here and put it in here. And that's a good thing about that all these models all work the same, you know what I mean, so if you need information about it, like, it's not just because, like, it's a Copilot question, like, Claude's not gonna be like, yeah, I'm not gonna answer that, because, like, that's a different platform, like, it's gonna answer the question, it's gonna pull the information up and answer the question, so you could use them side by side on that. Oh, yeah. Fun. But, yeah, so it didn't really do a whole lot on there for what I wanted to do, so. Oh, there we go. So it is pulling it out there. But, so that's what it's doing, it's gonna summarize, you can attach that to your email, you can pull that over there, you can pull that on there, and it's gonna stick to a specific email because we had it in our thread attached up on the top up there, so. As soon as you click on a normal email, pull up Copilot, and it's gonna stick to that email. We won't get too crazy in there. Let me pull the calendar up, hopefully the calendar will work for us better than what this did. So, everybody's got a busy calendar. Copilot again, it's in your calendar. We can come over here and I can say the same thing. You know, I can summarize my day, I can do any of that. One of the features that I did find is that just came out because of co-work in there, so I can put in there, you know, find time, let's just do 30 minutes. 30 minutes. So it's gonna be able, because it's inside of our tenant, and it's inside of our Microsoft, it's gonna know who Anthony Z is in our company. So it's gonna know who he is, and because it's tied into there, it's gonna be able to look at my calendar, and it's gonna be able to look at his calendar. So what that does is now I can go in there, again, so I don't have to pull up, hopefully it works on there, but I don't have to pull up both of our calendars and try to find 30 minutes for us to meet next week. Okay, so there we go. So, good deal. So, one thing you can find too, see this little arrow right here? If you click that arrow, it's gonna tell you where it's at in its process, and it's gonna tell you what it's doing. So if you see on there, it's gonna find that, it's gonna go through. Now here's my options. It pulled these options up here, so, and it pulls my calendar up and shows me these days here and these times. So if you look on here, Monday from 11 to 11:30, both of us are available. 11:30 to 12, both of us are available, and 12 to 12:30, both of us are available. So before, it would be able to tell you that, and that's cool. And then you have to go back over your email, you know, or back to your calendar, click in your day, you know, set a time, send him an invite. I don't have to do that anymore. So I said here, 6/1, Monday, send invite. That's gonna go up there, it's gonna start pulling it down here, it's gonna show me my thing on there, and then what it's gonna end up doing is it's gonna take that date, that time, it's gonna put a meeting title on there, and it's gonna send the invite to him, it's gonna block it off on my calendar, it's gonna block it off on his calendar. So you can do everything from your calendar, Copilot now, as opposed to bouncing back and forth between all those, and that's all because, again, they pair with Anthropic. There we go. So yeah, it's just, it wouldn't be, yeah, I was gonna say, it would not be, it wouldn't be that slow for you, like, trust me, like, when you're using it, it's gonna rip right through that real fast, so don't think that it's like a model problem on there, like, it's, when you use this at home, it's because, I mean, everybody here's got a laptop open, everybody's on the Wi-Fi, you know, so it's probably gonna kind of, we're draining us, but, that's where it's at. You had a question?
My question was gonna be is, at that point, do you have to schedule, like, if you want it to be a Teams meeting, would it do that automatically?
Yes,
Seeing that-
yes, it's gonna put it in there, so, and what I would say, give it its most information, the best information you can, so like, if you wanna call it something different,
Yeah.
cause all it's really gonna say right now is like, Bill and Anthony meeting. That's all it's gonna say on there, but if you put in there, say, hey, find a time a 30-minute time frame next week for us to meet and call the meeting this,
Yeah.
that's what the invite's gonna say, that's what your calendar's gonna say, that's what everything's gonna say for you.
And then
Okay.
if you're using like a different structure, so, we, like, in our boardroom, we have, it's called boardroom, but we use like Logitech to, with the camera and that, so like it'll put the Teams meeting on, so we can just pull it up.
Yeah, it'd be just the same as you
It would
normally
be
do
the
for
same
Teams,
way.
yep, it's gonna show up just like a normal, like when you win, you know, approve or decline
Yeah.
the meeting on there, like
Gotcha.
as long as you do that, then you go in there and you hit, you know, it all works the exact same as what you would do on there, so. You're still spinning too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gave it a prompt where I said I have a meeting next week.
Yeah.
Give me, I have to move it, give me 3 times the.
Yeah, and it will, but now if you just be careful on there, because like when you get down through there, now like, you see this right here, this allow actions right here? That's where you can change that setting, so like this set, I feel pretty confident with my prompt, so I put allow actions, or if you put default mode on there, it's gonna set it up, it's not gonna do that. So if you wanted to, like, you can go back in there and say, hey, like I have, you know, 3 meetings today, you know what I mean, but I'm calling off today, you know what I mean? Take all those meetings, you know, however long they are, and put them on my schedule next week in time frame that you can find. And it's gonna take all those meetings, it's gonna delete them all off today, and it's gonna start slamming them in different spots that you have next week. You know, as long as you go with that, that's cool, that's what the actions part's gonna do for you on there, so it will do that for you, so. That's kind of a cool tool that you can do on there,
So,
so.
what we're finding though is more and more people have immensely accurate schedules for all these reasons though.
Yeah.
Including travel time, because you
Absolutely.
don't normally put travel time. in.
Yeah, so that's, like he just said on there, so that's a good way, so now when you set your stuff up on there, cause you know, like when you have like your team settings, stuff like that, and when I ask you, like, you wanna have buffer times, you know, 10 minutes before, 10 minutes after those things, so now if you are gonna use that a lot, and you're confident with like those meetings being able to move, you know, like that, or, cause if not, it's just gonna look, say you have a meeting from 10 to 10:30, you know, 10:30 to 11:30 is open, like it's just gonna slam it in there. You know, so you better be ready to go at 10:30, you know what I mean, unless in your settings you have buffer times that you've already set in there, so you can set those buffer times up for you in there too, so. That's kinda what's good on that, so. It is working a little bit, so hopefully, I don't know, we'll see if we can do some other stuff over here. Any other questions before we move on from there? Yes, ma'am.
So I live in the Google workspace.
Yeah.
So is Gemini?
Gemini.
Same
Exact same thing, yeah, so that's what, I only do this platform just because like most of our people are
Yeah, that's
Microsoft,
what I'm saying, you have to
but if you are in
upgrade.
the Google, if you use Google Workspace, Gemini, I believe, does most of this stuff. I don't know how tight it is, I believe it's in Excel and stuff like that, I don't know how tight, but you should be able to do the same thing with your email, and your calendar, everything through Google and stuff like that, so. You should be good with that, so. Any other questions on that? Yeah? Okay, so you can do that, you can look for times on there, we can go through there, what else do I have on there? You can go through, again, you've seen some of this stuff, I can pick a meeting on there, you know, prepare me for this meeting, give me information about this meeting, make sure I know everything about this meeting. It will pull that on there, it'll tell you who's in the meeting, like you can just click on a meeting. So if I just wanna do so, I just clicked on that, and again, that's that meeting for the day, I gotta post a bunch of LinkedIn stuff on there. So as you can see on here, if you look down through here, again, it's only working off of that meeting. You can tell that because it's tagged right here. Anytime you see that inside your post or inside your prompt box, it's only working off of that meeting right there, okay? And say you bought, you know, you're using a cool agent, like you had a cool agent that you were using on there. If you go down here to this little plus sign where you add stuff, you can call that stuff up. So I can add files that I want to reference, I can add anything through there. Cloud files, difference between these guys on here, if you look through here, cloud files, anything you have in your SharePoint, there's gonna be your cloud files, okay? Anything up here, upload images and files, that's gonna be anything you have saved locally, because that's how you're gonna find that. Because I know for the first couple times I tried using this, like way back when we first got the license, like every time I would put attached cloud files on there, I was like, where's all my stuff out there? I couldn't find it, like I kept looking for it, and then finally this popped up on here, and this is where you add anything local. But going back to the agents, anything you want to do, so if you had a great agent that you use for certain things, like maybe it's a social media agent, like that you use for LinkedIn or something like that, all you have to do is go to that, grab that agent, and you're gonna be working through that agent in your calendar on that meeting. So instead of bouncing back, so all I keep doing is just kind of condensing your steps. So everything's all in one spot now, so that's kind of a cool tool that you can add through that too, so. that'll work through, and I'm just kind of, you know, I mean, I can just put on there, I don't know how much it's gonna give me, or how fast. You can ask it any questions, and it's just only gonna deal off of this meeting on here. You can ask it to do your day, you can ask it to do your week, you can ask it to do your month, you can do all that stuff. You can actually go back through and ask it, you know, at the end of a week, this is fun, this is a good one for you. Like, when you get to the end of the week, say, analyze my week and see where I could have spent my time better. Or I could, you know, optimize my time on there, and you'd be surprised, like, how much wasted time that you have inside your week there, and you can build it off of that, so, I don't know if it's gonna work, it's probably just too slow again, but, yes, sir.
So I have a question on, this goes back to, the email specifically. So if there's an email up and you bring up the Copilot prompt, so then at the bottom where it says message Copilot, it should have just that email.
Yeah, so like if I go back over here, yep.
Yeah, like
Oh, there's it.
where it'd say LinkedIn outreach, pretty much.
Yep, so like if I go back over here to my emails, and I'm just using, so I'm gonna cancel that one out. So this one right here, this is just this email just from Brooke, right here. So like when I go to my Copilot right now, when I show that up, that it should pop up there, see?
So
That is just dealing with this email thread.
So my question with this is, you know, let's say somebody emails me, oh, what's the price of X? Now I have, you know, my pricing sheet in my SharePoint. So I would have to then go into the allow actions to allow access to the cloud files.
No,
No.
you can just go, you can actually do that, you can do that from the dashboard, because it's tied to all your data.
Yeah.
SharePoint, OneDrive, all that stuff. You can just go there and just be like, what's the price?
So like right from here, because, you know, I actually.
Yeah, if you already have this up.
Realistic, yeah, I'll be looking at
Yep.
the email and it's like, oh, open up Copilot, oh, reply back to this, you know, draft a reply to
Yeah,
this.
yep.
With the information from Archie.
Yeah, if you put that on there, I can put something in there, like if you were using, because it's your data, you can say, hey, reply to this email and give them the current price of this product. And it's gonna search you, it's probably gonna ask you, like, it's gonna pull it up, and it's gonna be like, hey, we found this product that you're talking about, and this price on here, like, do you wanna go with that email? You know, and then it's gonna ask you about that email, and then you can say approve, you say approve.
So then, why is it, you know, whenever you click allow actions, why is there the option to go?
Well, that just means it's gonna take action for you. So like, what ended up happening, like the allow actions on here, like that same question you had, like mine right now, when I do that, like, it's gonna allow me to send it.
I see.
So if I just say, yeah, like, I can type in there, like, pull the price and send the email. You know what I mean? Then it's gonna just like, find the price and send the email. You know, where if I didn't say allow actions, it's gonna show you the email, and then it's gonna ask you, do you want me to send this? And then you send it. So that's where the allow action thing, like, you gotta be confident in your prompting to go ahead and cut loose on that. That way you're good to go. You can send it off through that. So, did you have a question?
Well, you kind of answered it. I was gonna ask if you could kind of have it so like automated, so that if an email comes in with a question about product or pricing, that it would kind of automatically draft a response and then let you know, hey, you know, this email came in, this is what we want to respond, can you?
Absolutely. So that goes back more to the co-work and the workflows, when you build that. So I just did one yesterday. I was working with a salvage yard. It's crazy how like AI is just like going all over the place. It's a salvage yard. You know what I mean? They came in and they wanted to talk about, you know, discrepancies in like shipping charges and stuff like that. So we're working on an agent for them. So what we did is we took an agent, we started small, we put it on there. We took UPS, FedEx, regular mail, stuff like that, put their shipping guidelines in there. Okay, so we had their shipping guidelines in there, and then they could take their spreadsheet of all the invoices and all the shipping. Now again, like we said over here, it's like take the name off. If you take the name off the top of that, you can put that data in there. Because data's data, it's not tied to anybody. But what I wouldn't do is say, hey, this is this company up here, here's the data, boom, and then slam that in there. Just take the name off. Don't have an identifier on there, just your data. So what that does is then it would pull that, put it in there, and it would find discrepancies in their shipping, like things that probably should have been billed the way it was, and then it has all their invoices listed. Now, so we did that was manually. So they took that list and they put it up in there. But now the next step we're taking, now what they're comfortable with that is when an email comes in with this invoice, shoot it over here, it'll save the invoice here, it'll read that invoice, it'll pull the discrepancies through that agent, and then send them a message back that, hey, there's discrepancies in here. You might wanna check on here, plus it'll give you, but that's, remember when I was talking about, did that answer your question, or did I get too crazy there for you?
Kind of, but my second question might be like, so should we just, do you suggest like asking that to like write an SOP on how to create agents? Like kind of backtrack a little bit on the best way to create?
To create agents, like if you're gonna create an agent?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, if you're gonna create an agent, like I would just go into there, like you go into the agent on there, and like you can start, like I said, I work side by side.
Yeah.
From creating mine, like I have a bunch of templates of ones I already do, so I can slam a bunch of information in there, and then just kind of tailor it to each individual company, and stuff like that, but yeah, just like that, so when you build that agent, let me just, probably just easier if I pull one up here, so.
Mine did eventually work.
Did yours work?
Yeah, it gave me 3 times of I'm available and everybody else is available.
Yeah,
It's 2 days.
so it did work on that, yeah. But, when we get into agents here, here we are again. See, this is me trying to find it, because again, like I said last night, my entire interface was different, and then I woke up this morning and now it's different again, so. We go into here, so if I just wanna create a new agent or do anything like that, I'll see if I can.
Yeah, like when I click on the agents, I don't have that option.
Do you have the paid version
Yeah.
of Copilot?
I literally just signed up for it while we are in here, cause I'm a bot.
Oh, wait, it takes about 3 hours.
Oh, man.
So you might, so,
It's like
yeah, so it doesn't just like, yeah, it's just like, man, it's like, this is the AI or right now, that's, you know what I mean, but I did notice, like, 'cause we do that, we always tell people, it might not take that long, but what we do is we always tell people, hey, like, you know what I mean, and you gotta be careful too, like, there's 2 different ones, there's personal and there's work. You know what I mean, personal's not gonna give you as much as what work is on there, work is gonna tie better with your list on there, you know, with your information, so that's what's gonna be on there, so, did I get you on there? Like, we're all right on that? Yeah, so we can talk later, I mean, if you need, pull me over, we'll get on the agent thing.
Thank you.
But, yeah, with the agents, again, when we're doing all that different work, like, we pull things in, we try to find, so I'll just try to find that salvage order on here. Questions? So this one right here, this is the one I built for that surcharge thing. So what it did, I think I should be able to. See, so hopefully. I don't know if it's gonna work fast enough or not. I'm gonna try to give you a little bit. So all I did was I took their information. So we have guidelines set in there. Like I said, we have FedEx in there, we have UPS, we have Postal Service, we have all their shipping guidelines, how they charge, size of box, weight, different things like that. So it has guidelines. So anytime you do these agents, like you have to give it a set of rules. Yeah. So I always tell people, like, agents are great. You have to tell agents what you want it to do, but to have a great agent, you also have to tell it what you don't want it to do on there. So you have to build the guidelines on there. So we built the guidelines of how we ship and how we do things and how it should be coming in. So this right here is just a list. It's a fake list of about 12 different invoices with different information. I'm not sure if it's even gonna be able to pull up on here, but we'll give it a shot. But another way we create these agents, another thing we end up having is when people talk, like, I got a summary, and we're trying to summarize all this information, and we're trying to keep everything the same, and his output was a little different than my output. And my first question is, what prompts did you put in there? And it always turns up as, like, if you just change like 1 or 2 words, the whole output's gonna be different on there. So what we do on these agents, when you get out through there, I built prompts in for that agent. So everything's gonna be the same. So no matter who uses it, you can put the information in there, and then when I come down here, I just say, create an executive summary. So it's already gonna be, I click on that, it puts the prompt in there. So now all I have to do is upload their document, and then click one of these to get what you want. So if they want different information, we just create a different prompt out here. That way it's always standardized. I don't know if it's gonna go through for me. We shall see, but this was step 1. And going back to your question, now what we did was, we took that same information now when an email comes in with an invoice, we take that invoice that'll be on that, we'll shoot over and be saved into a SharePoint file, and then it'll also be put on this list. And then if we really wanted to, we could tie all that information onto that agent, and then have it send us the output. That's when you start small, when you start building out. But that's what you do. You start small with something like this. Do it manually first. Get your output, an output you like, an output that's consistent, and that you can roll through. And then we add the steps of automating more. Email comes in, it does this, takes that information, does this, and moves on. Because there's a bunch of steps in there that you got to follow to do that. But that's a starting path. So when you get your agents, pull your agent up, tell her what you want to do, give basic information, like, you know what I mean, for whatever you want to do. Like, say you want, like, just something for email, like, you know, I get 100 emails a day, and I want to reply, you know, in this certain manner, it's about this topic, everything like that, and all I want to add is the recipient's name. So if you go to this agent, all you do is put in their name, hit the button, and here comes everything that you need on there, because you already trained it, you already built it for that, and you're good to go. So, again, I don't think we're gonna roll through here. I should have just hotspotted
I
off my
think we're at the end
phone.
of our workshop
No.
time. Are
Right.
we at- I think we're at the end of our
Are we?
workshop time, yeah.
Oh, I just keep talking, all right. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I can go all day long on this. We just, you know, so, sorry about that. I don't wanna starve everybody, keep everybody from lunch, but have a good one. If you have any more questions or you need to talk about